Hey guys, welcome to today's video. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys how to create this portfolio section that breaks down this portfolio project into different categories. This is a common way of representing portfolio projects. You must have seen this in one or two websites, and in this video, I'm going to show you guys how to easily achieve this with the use of local variables. So we won't be creating any interactive components and anything like that. All we are going to have is a design file that just leaves everything clean and simple. So do not forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you get notified whenever I post a new video. All right, so to start creating the prototype of our portfolio section, the first thing we are going to do is to bring in our desktop frame. So I'm going to throw in a desktop frame and I'm going to reduce the height of this desktop frame to 900. Once I have this, I'm going to go ahead to paste in the images we are going to be using for this prototype. I'm going to paste all the images in here. And as you can see here, we have two brand images, we have two product images, and we have two development images. This is to show that this portfolio or the portfolio section of this design has three different kind of services they offer, which is the brand service, the product service, and the development service. And these images are showing the respective completed works for these services. So I'm going to select all of these images all together and I'm going to hit Shift A to create an auto layout on it. I'm going to make sure I select all of this perfectly and I'm going to hit Shift A to create an auto layout on it. And as you can see, one of this image is going outside, so I'm going to remove it from the absolute positioning and make sure all the images are properly fit in this auto layout frame. So once you have all your images in an auto layout frame like this in a linear way, what you want to do is to click on this wrap property here. So I'm going to click on wrap. So what the wrap basically do is once you try to reduce the size of this particular auto layout frame, the items in this frame tend to adjust itself to the size of the frame. So I'm going to leave it at this and I'm going to reduce the spacing between them to, let's say, 20 pixel. Once I have this, I'm going to try and fit all of these images into the desktop frame that we just created. But as you can see, this is still way too large, larger than the desktop frame. So I'm going to hit K on the keyboard and I'm going to scale that down this entire section. Now you can see that it's fitting into this perfectly. We can see the frame title here, which is not supposed to be. That is to show that this frame is not properly fit into this desktop frame. So I'm going to remove it and I'm going to fit it back into the frame. Now you can see that it's properly fit inside the desktop frame. So from here, I want to have like a little title at the top of this particular page so that we know what we are working with, which is like a portfolio section. So I'm going to go ahead to paste in a title and a subtitle for this particular section. After having this, the next thing we want to have is the tabs, right? The buttons we are going to be clicking to switch between these particular images. So I'm going to create a button quickly, and the first button on this tab is going to be all projects. And for this all projects button, I'm just going to make it like 16 pixels so that it's very visible. I'm going to make it 16 pixels and I'm going to hit Shift A to create an auto layout on it. I'm going to add more padding to this auto layout by making the left and right 16, or let's say the left and right to be let's say 30 pixel, and then the top and bottom should be 14. So once we have this, I also want to have like a little border at the bottom of this particular button. So I'm going to click on the rectangle tool and I'm going to draw a little rectangle of same height. So I'm going to select this button and the height here is 145. So I'm going to give the same, sorry, the width is 145. So I'm going to give the same width to this rectangle button. So I'm going to select this rectangle and I'm going to select this all projects auto layout button here, and I'm going to align both of them to the bottom, and I'm going to align both of them to the center. I'm also going to hit Ctrl G to group it together, or you could wrap both of these in a frame depending on what you want. And I'm going to give this particular rectangle a background color. It could be anything, but I'm going to give it one of this light shade of pink that we have here. Right, so once we have this, I'm going to make this particular button a component. So I'm going to select this component button and make this a component. So once we have this, I'm going to create an instance of this component, just like this. Sorry, just like this. I'm going to create an instance of this component. And for this, we want to have 3 more buttons. The next one here is going to be brand projects. The next button is going to be, let's say, UI projects, or I called it products. So I'll see products, projects, and the next button here is going to be dev projects. So you might take out the whole project word, since it's the same thing, so we don't get to repeat that word all the time. So we can have all projects, brand, products, and dev. So once you have all of these buttons, we'll select all of these buttons and hit Shift A to create an auto layout on the buttons. And I'm going to make the spacing between them, let's say 10 pixels. So once we have this, the next thing we can now start doing is start creating our local variables, right? So without the use of local variables, if you're trying to achieve this particular design or this particular prototype, you're going to create an interactive component where you're going to have different variants. And if you click on this brand, for instance, it takes you to the variant that has only the brand. If you click on the product, it takes you to the variants that have only the product. That is typically how you would do it with an interactive prototype, with an interactive component. But with the use of local variables, we don't have to create all those extra components to be able to achieve this. So to achieve this, I'm going to go to the local variables, and what we want to do is to start logging all our project as a collection. And here, what we want to do as collections is we want to be able to log each project as a collection. So brand is going to be a collection on its own, product is going to be a collection on its own. So we are going to start with the first collection, which is brand here. I'm going to rename this collection to brand. And then we are going to start adding the variables for each of these collections. So for the brand, we have 2 images. So we are going to have 2 image variables. So we are going to have 2 variables for the images, which is going to be brand img1, and I'm going to create another boolean variable, which is going to be brand img2. So once we've logged both images that we have for the brand section, which is this first image here and the second image here, the next thing we want to do is to identify that we are currently active on this brand tab here. And to do that, we are also going to have another boolean variable to show that we are active on the brand tab. And for that, I'm just going to name this brand selected. So after having the selected states of this particular tab, the next thing we want to have is an active state for the text, right? So we want the text that is active to be a little bit brighter than other text. So I'm going to have a color variable, and this color variable is going to be all black. I'm going to close this up. I'm going to rename this color variable to brand text. So we are going to be having 4 main variables for each of these collections. I'm going to click on this and I'm going to create a new collection. This new collection is going to be the product collection, and we are going to have the same set of variables. First, we want to log both images we have in the product collection, which is this image and this image right here. So which is product image 1. And then another boolean variable is going to be product image 2. So if you have more than one product, you can go ahead to start adding that. We are then going to also log the active state. That is what we are going to be showing the user when they click on that particular button. So I'm going to say product selected, and then we're going to have the active color state also. So this is going to be all black. If I can just select this black here, and the name of this particular variable, it's going to be product text. So we have one more collection to create, which is going to be the development collection. So this is going to be dev, and for dev you're going to do the same thing. You're going to log the images for both of this, which is going to be dev img1, and we are going to have dev img2. We are also going to have a boolean property for the selected states, which is dev selected, and we are going to have a color variable for dev text, for the text once it is selected. So once we have this, we can go ahead to start prototyping with our variables. But we also want to have a selected state for these all projects, right? So this selected states and this particular active text variable, we want to have those for also this all projects, so that when the user clicks on all projects, it's also identified as selected and the text is highlighted in a different color. So we are going to create another collection, and this collection is going to be all projects. And for all projects, you're only going to have two variables, one boolean, which is going to be all selected, and another color variable, which is going to be with the value of black, and the text is going to be. So once we've set up all our collection and we have all our collection here, the next thing we want to do is to start tying our layers to the properties and the variables we've set in this collection. So I'm going to close this up, and now I'm going to select the first image here, which is this brand img1. I'm going to go to this layer panel. I'm going to right click on this eye icon, and I'm going to tie this brand img1 to the variable we created. As you can see here, all the variables are false, and as soon as I start tying them, you're not going to be able to see that image again. So what I'm going to do is, so that we can still see it after I make that change, I'm going to set all of this to true. So I'm going to set all the image values to true for both brand, dev, and product. Once I do that, I'm going to close up this, and I'm going to select the image once more. Make sure you're targeting the right layer. As you can see here, all my images are in a frame, and it's that particular frame that I named. So make sure you're targeting the right layer and you won't make a mistake. So I'm going to select the first image, which is this brand img1. I'm going to go to the layer section, right click on this eye icon, and select brand img1. I'm going to do the same thing for the second one. Right click, go to brand img2, and make sure it is tied here and you're sure that you've made the connection. I'm going to go to the third image. This is going to be products img1. I'm going to go to the fourth one. This is going to be products img2. I'm going to go to this fifth one, which is the dev. So it's going to be dev image 1, and then the last one is going to be dev image 2. So once you've had that and you've tied all your variables to your layers, we can then start working with these particular buttons. So the first thing we want to do here with the buttons is that we want to tie this active, because this particular rectangle below this button here is what is indicating that this button is active. So we want to tie this rectangle to the selected state that we created. So I'm going to select this rectangle for the all projects, just like we did for the image layers. I'm going to right click on it, and I'm going to click on this brand selected. But this is for the brand, so I'm going to go to the all projects section, and you can see all selected. I'm going to select this, and it's going to be invincible because all selected is false by default. I'm going to do the same thing for the brand, and for the brand I'm going to click on brand selected, I'm going to go to the product section, select the rectangle there, click on this layer and go to product selected, and we are not seeing this rectangle after tying them because the value is false by default. I'm going to click on dev selected. Now we don't have any of that active state. So from here, after successfully linking all layers to the image variable we created and the active state to the is selected variable we created, I'm just going to move this all the way to the top. And now we want to start creating our prototype. So the first thing we want to make a prototype on is this brand button. So on clicking on this brand button, we want to only see both of these images, which is only the brand image. So how do we achieve this? I'm going to select this brand button here and I'm going to go to the prototype section. In this prototype section, I'm going to click on interaction and it's going to be an on click. I'm going to open up this tab and what we want to do is to start setting our variables. You might not be able to click on this set variables if you don't have the paid plan or you're not a student. So I'm going to click on set variables, and the variable we want to set is basically all the variables here. We are going to start from this first brand image. For the brand image, you're going to select it, you're going to leave it as true. We're going to keep adding to this set variable is going to be the brand image too. We are going to make it true. So we have both of this. We are also going to select other images. So here we are going to come to the product image. We are going to set this to be false because once we click on the brand, we don't want to see the product image. I'm going to click on the plus button again. We're going to click on product image 2. We want that to be false. We are then going to go to the dev images. It's going to be set variables, and we're going to go to dev image 1. It's going to be false. We don't want to see that once we click on the brand. I'm going to set variable and it's going to be dev image 2, definitely going to be false. So here we've set all the images to be false except the brand images, and now we want to take care of the is selected state. So I'm going to click on this plus button and I'm going to start with the brand selected. For this, the brand selected for this, we want this to be true because we are working with the brand, which is the brand button we are going to be clicking here. But for the selected option for other collections, we definitely want it to be false. So for instance, we want the product selected to be false. I'm going to close this up. We also want the dev selected to be false. So I'm going to select dev selected. This is going to be false. And let's also remember now we have the all project option. So I'm also going to click on this, and all projects also have a selected state because it's also a button. So I'm going to go all the way to the down, and all selected is also going to be false. So I'm going to close this up. But we also want to take care of the text. As we discussed earlier, we want a different shade of text on active state. So first I'm going to click on this button and I'm going to reduce the shade of black that we have for the not selected state. So I'm just going to reduce this shade of black a little bit. And here for the brand, for this brand button that we are working on, its prototype, I'm going to go back to the prototype we are working on, and we want to start working on the text highlights for the selected option. So I'm going to click on this button. It's going to be a set variable, and for the first one, which is the brand text, I'm going to click this and I'm going to leave it as this all black. So basically what it's saying is once we click on this brand selected, the brand text also goes to this all black. But now we also want to take care of the text for the rest of this, right? So we are going to get the color code for this particular text, which we just set here, which is this 515151. I'm going to copy this, and at this brand interaction and prototype here, after we've set the brand text to be the all black, we also want to set other texts. For instance, let's say the product text. Now we want to set it to this color back. So this is because let's say we've selected the products before and we are coming back to the brand, we also want to make sure we are reverting its color to this color. So I'm going to select that. I'm going to go ahead, also select the dev text. The dev text also have to revert back to that color, and now we are going to select the all project text because the all project is also a button and you're going to revert it back to this color. So this is basically all the variables you're going to be working with and the things you're going to be setting as soon as we click on each of these buttons. But don't worry, we won't need to add all these items again, since you can copy and paste an interaction in Figma. So I'm going to close this up and we're just going to quickly test this out. So I'm going to open up our prototype by clicking on this present button. Here we have our prototype. Let's go ahead to test with the brand button. So if I click on the brand, you can see we only have the brand images and this border at the down here that is showing that this brand tab is active. But we don't see our active text, that is the all black for the brand text should be applied to this text here, but it's not. So let's go back to our designs and fix that. So to basically fix that, you will notice that we have not linked or we've not attached the text layer to that particular brand text color that we created. So what we are going to do is to select all of this text. So for instance, I select this all projects. You're going to come to this view section, click on this style, and you're going to attach that particular text to these color codes that we have here. So for all projects, I'm going to click on this black. I'm going to go to the brand again, and for the brand, I'm also going to click on this color, go to the product. For the products, I'm going to click on this, and for dev, I'm going to click on this. So now that we have all of this, what I'm going to do now, you can see that all of these particular texts are all black. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the local variable and reset the values that we use for the local variable. So for the inactive state, what we used was 515151. So the inactive state is going to be the default color. So I'm just going to copy this and I'm going to replicate this for other collections. So for the dev collection, I'm going to replace this with the inactive color text. For the brand, I'm also going to do the same thing. I'm going to replace it, and for the all project, I'm also going to replace it. But the all projects can stay at this by default, so that an active tab is shown by default. So I'm going to leave the all projects to be this by default, and I'm going to close this up. So here we have our prototype opened. Now, as soon as I click on this brand button, we can see our images, we can see the active state. And if I zoom in a little bit more, you can see that the brand text is a little bit darker than other text. But I still want to create more contrast between the active state and the inactive state. So I'm going to reduce the shade of black that we used for this product. So I'm going to zoom this back in and I'm going to go back to our designs. And to do that, first I'm going to click outside and open up this local variable tab, and I'm going to change the shade of black that we are using here to a lighter shade of black, right? So something that looks like a gray color. So I'm going to do that for other collections. So this is the product. I'm going to go to dev, do the same thing. I'm going to go to the brand and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to leave the all projects to be black since it's our default state, but once we start clicking on other buttons, we are still going to set the all projects to be this shade of color. So once we've done this, this is not the only place we are going to make a change. What we still want to do is click on our brand where we've made our interaction, go to the prototype and open up our interaction, and here we want to set this to that shade of gray that we are using, right? So I'm going to open this up and set it to this. Right, so once we've set this up, I'm going to close up this tab and I'm going to open up our prototype once more and I'm going to refresh and I'm going to hit on brand, and as you can see, this is a little bit better, right? So we have our brand tab active and the other tabs are grayed out. Now we are going to repeat this process for other tabs. So all we are going to do is to go back to our designs, come to this section here. I'm going to click here. So we have this whole section highlighted without necessarily opening this interaction tab. I'm going to close this up. I'm going to click, select this brand button, and I'm going to click just in front of this click button here and highlight this entire interaction section. So I'm going to hit Command C or Control C if you're using a PC to copy the entire interaction. I'm then going to select our product tab. and I'm going to paste the interaction on it. Just like that, you see that as soon as I open up this, you're going to see all the interactions that we set on our brand is now applied to our product. So here we are just going to make a little change to the configuration here. Here we are setting the brand images to true, which is not what we want. If we click on products, what we want to do is to set every other thing else to false. So both brand images is going to be false, and then we are going to set the products images to be true since we've selected the products tab. So you're just going to change the values of product image 1 and product image 2 to be true. I'm going to close this up. The next thing we want to do is the product selected indicator, which is the border bottom thing. We want to set it also to true, and then we want to set the brand to false. Don't forget to make that false since we just copied the interaction and pasted it here. So we've set the product images to true. We've set the product selected indicator to true. Now we want to set up the text, right? So we come to this product section and change the text from whatever it is to all black, and then we want to set other text back to that color. So I'm just going to copy the color code here. I'm going to close this up, and for the brand text, I'm going to revert it back to the inactive state. So we are just changing the configuration, setting the product images to true, setting the product selected to true, and then we are setting the colors to a darker shade of color for the product tab. I'm going to close this up. I'm going to go to our prototype. I'm going to restart this prototype. I'm going to click on brand. Here we see the brand images. Then I click on products. We can see the product images. So we can see that these two buttons are working very easily. Now we are going to do the same thing for dev. I'm going to go back to our designs. I'm going to click just in front here, and I'm going to copy the entire prototype here, and I'm going to select this dev button and paste the entire prototype. I'm going to open it up. First, we're going to change the product images to false since we just copied the product interaction. So I'm going to set both product image 1 to false, product image 2 to false. Then we're going to set our dev images to true. Dev images to true. So we're also going to set our dev selected to true. And don't forget to turn the product selected back to false. So once we have that, we now take care of the color configurations. Here, our product text, we are reverting it back to 9292, which is the inactive state. And for the dev selected, which is the dev text, we are then going to change it back to all black. So I'm going to close this up, and I'm going to turn this off. So I'm going to open up our prototype again, hit restart, click on brand, this works perfectly, product, this works perfectly, and dev, this works perfectly. So you can see we can navigate between these three tabs conveniently. The next thing I want to do is to set up the all projects. So I'm going to open this up, click here, copy this interaction, go to the all project button, and I'm going to paste the interaction on it. I'm going to open it up, and just like what we did for other items, I'm going to select, open up this dev, change it to false. Both dev images, we're going to change the status to false. Sorry, this is the all project, and for all projects, what we want to do is to set all the images to true. So I'm going to change it back to true. I'm really sorry about that. I'm going to change it back to true, and I'm going to set all the images to true actually. So starting from brand image, this is going to be true. Brand image 1, brand image 2, this is going to be true, right? Product image 1, this is going to be true. Product image 2, this is going to be true. So for the selected, we want the all project button to be selected. So we are going to make the dev selected here false. And then we are going to go to all selected button here, and we're going to make it true, right? So for here, we are also going to set the same thing for the color, and for the all text, we are going to leave it at all black. And then you're going to change the text for others to be the inactive states. So this is what we want. I'm going to close this up and I'm going to open up. I'm going to remove this. I'm going to close this up and I'm going to open up our prototype once more. I'm going to restart this, and once we click on all projects, we see here an active state. Here is also active. So I want to do something. If I hit on restart, you can see that we don't have the active state on the all projects. So I'm going to go to our portfolio and I'm going to open up our local variables, and I'm going to set the all states, the all project states. I'm going to set the all selected to be true by default, since we also have the text to be the all black text by default. I'm going to close this up, go back to our prototype, hit restart. So once I hit restart, you're going to see that the all project is selected by default. If I switch to the brand, we only have the brand images. Switch to products, we only have the product images. Switch to dev, we also have the dev images. Come back to all projects, and now we have the all projects active. So guys, this is it. This is the end of the video. I hope you guys were able to learn a few things. I have some more complex videos about local variables on my channel. Please do check it out if you're interested. And this is the end of the video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell, as I'm going to be seeing you guys in my next video. Bye for now.